One thing that we have to deal with as flat earthers.
That's right, folks. Today we're going to be looking at the, thankfully, rare creature Moronicus flattardidae, commonly known as a flat earther. This species normally dwells in echo chambers, but they can often be found on social media platforms, where they spend their days ignoring evidence, acting smug without justification, and generally denying reality. Before we continue, I'd like to assure my audience that no flat earthers were harmed during the making of this video, though I'm not sure I can say the same for all of my brain cells.
From the heliocentric enthusiast community is
Translation: people who have a grasp on the real world.
The idea that they always say that we have absolutely no evidence to support what we believe.
I'm pretty sure that's because you kinda don't.
Well, I think I'd like to weigh in on that and do what I can to provide a little more evidence that supports this idea.
Oh, this ought to be good for a laugh. Alright then, big boy. Hit me with your best... Whoop. Sorry, folks. My singing voice is not worth a copyright strike. Trust me.
Today we're going to be talking about the sun. You're going to want to hang out until the end for this one.
Ooh! Are we going to talk about how it helps plants grow? Or how we use solar panels to generate electricity? Or maybe how it's been giving females an excuse to run around in the functional equivalent of our underwear since 1946? Wait, this is a flat earth video. It's going to be something stupid, isn't it? By the way, I know some of you watching are pervy little things, and I love your faces for that, so stick around till the end, and I'll tell you where to find a link to that bikini pic. Nice intro. I thought I was getting ready to watch an Avengers movie instead of a talking pile of semi-sentient brain farts. Also, I was going to agree with your hashtag, then I remembered that there are such things as anti-vaxxers, climate change denialists, and others whose brand of stupid is legitimately potentially dangerous. So I had to downgrade Flat Earth from offensive to mildly annoying.
Now, what we're told according to the heliocentric model is that the sun is 93 million miles away. We're going to start off by talking about the distance. We'll talk about the size in a little bit. The thing is, according to what we see, these CGI images from the sun, we always see the solar system and it's never to scale. You never see a representation, graphical representation of the sun being 93 million miles away from the Earth and all the other planets, you know, in relation. You never see it that way. Every time the sun seems to be small and close, it's right at the center. There isn't a whole lot of distance in between the sun and the rest of the planets. Definitely not 93 million miles of distance in scale on these little CGI images. Okay?
Wow, dumber than advertised.
Oh, I can't believe I have to actually explain this. Okay, Shades McReary, let's say that you are going to make a scale CG depiction of the solar system just from the Earth to the Sun. The first thing you want to do is figure out what scale you want to use. The easiest way to do that is usually to start with the smallest thing you want to depict. In this case, the planet Mercury, which has a diameter of 3,031.9 miles. Just to simplify the math a little bit, we'll go ahead and round that up to 3,032 miles. And then make that equal to 1 pixel. Now we're going to take a look at the endpoint for this graphic, Mama Earth, which has a diameter of 7,917.5 miles. So we take that value, divide by our scale, which is 3,032 miles per pixel, and we get a total of a little over 2.6 pixels. Obviously we can't draw 6/10 of a pixel, so we'll go ahead and round it up to 3, making our depiction of Earth at this scale a tiny little plus sign that's only 3 pixels tall and 3 pixels across. And we'll move that tiny little plus sign all the way over to the right side of the screen. Now we'll take our distance from the Earth to the Sun, 93 million miles. Divide that by our scale of 30,032 miles per pixel, and end up with over 30,000 pixels. We'll divide that number by HD screen resolution of 1,280 pixels across, which gives us a total of... Oh! So the sun in this scale depiction would start pretty close to the left edge of the screen. 24 screens over. And that is why depictions of the solar system are never to scale.
Seemingly right above the surface of the Earth, and you could see this spot where it appeared that the light was that much more intense in that area than anywhere else on the...
You come back to this bright spot nonsense later in the video, so I'll address it then. For now, allow me to point out that by your own logic, you seemingly didn't graduate kindergarten, because watching your video, it appeared that you didn't have a grade school level grasp on the world around you.
Surface of the Earth. Now, if the sun were actually at a distance of 93 million miles away, all the rays from the sun would hit the Earth parallel. But the fact of the matter is, there's pictures, and you've seen these things more than likely, or you're seeing one right here, of the sun seemingly sitting right above the clouds where the rays kind of splay out into these different directions, showing where if you trace the rays back to these, you know, this singular source, these are called crepuscular rays. If you trace these rays back to the source from each side, you'll see it goes straight to the sun, and you can pretty much triangulate the location of the sun using those sun rays. The only thing is, we've been brainwashed for so long to believe that the sun's so far away that when we see these rays, we'll say, you know, that's just a coincidence, it's some sort of optical illusion, or, you know, the sun's actually at that distance, but it's refraction. You know, light works differently out there with the sun, when in actuality that's not the case.
Congratulations, that last bit is the first correct thing that's come out of your mouth. You're right, that's not the case. And nobody who has any clue what they're talking about says it is. I suspect that whole bit about optical illusions and such was a straw man. Allow me to point out the fatal flaw in your infallible logic. The sun is not a spotlight. Your whole bit about the sun's rays striking the Earth in parallel lines is patently incorrect. You see, both down here and out there, light travels in all directions from its source, and so it's redirected by something else, and it spreads out as it goes. So the crepuscular rays you mentioned are precisely what we would expect to see regardless of how far away the sun is. Geez, this one was so easy I didn't even have to look it up.
You know, as far as the temperature differences concerning the sun, you know, we're told we're in this Goldilocks zone. We're in this perfect space where we're not so close to the sun that we would actually burn, and we're not so far away from the sun that we would all freeze to death. You know, this wouldn't be like an ice planet. You know, so my question here...
Ladies and gentlemen, I am about to present the truest statement in this entire video.
Because I'm a simple guy, this is a simple question. The sun's 93 million miles away. If we were any closer to the sun, we'd be on fire, right? So you'd like to think that everything within 92 million miles away would be ablaze, wouldn't you? Because that's what we're told, right? We're in the Goldilocks zone. If we were closer, we would be on fire, right? That's what the trusted scientific community tells us, right?
Wrong. As usual. You see, like the vast majority of things, the possible sole exception being your own IQ, the Goldilocks zone is a lot bigger than you seem to think it is. In fact, there are some scientists who've speculated that Venus, at 67.24 million miles from the sun on average, is relatively just barely outside the Goldilocks zone on the hot side, and Mars, averaging 141.6 million miles from the sun, is in fact in it sometimes, since orbits are elliptical rather than perfectly circular. That means oval-shaped, shades. Big word, I know. Now, as far as the matter of temperature, we'll start with the next closest planet to the sun from us, the planet Venus, which we see here has an average temperature of 864 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface. Now, taking into consideration that humans, and presumably mega-sexy wolf furries, start running a risk of crispy critterdom around 130 degrees Fahrenheit, I think it's safe to say that more than 6.5 times that is not an option. Now let's take a look at our planetary neighbor in the other direction, which, as we said earlier, some scientists have speculated is occasionally in the Goldilocks zone itself, Mars, which, as we see here, can get up to a comfy 68 degrees Fahrenheit at noon at the equator, but has an overall average of minus 81. That wouldn't work out too well either, since we can see on this chart that at those temperatures we'd be popsicles, or a pupsicle in my case, in roughly an hour.
I want you to think about that stuff, you know?
You first, dipstick. I hate to say this, guys, but I'm pretty sure I've already lost about 10 IQ points, so I'm gonna have to finish off this mental midget next time. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with some words to remember.
Because I'm a simple guy, this is a...
Stay sane, everybody. Wait, what was that? Oh, the bikini pic link. It's in the description, silly. Where else would it be? Smoochies! If you like what I do, but want to see somebody do it way better, be sure to check out Sir Sick, the Social Inequality Crusader. Links in the description below.